Greetings. 10th scrum in, and the first video that I'm creating in regards to I guess it's the second video I'm creating in regards to my scrum process, but the first one where I share I would say the regular format that I'll be using, which is essentially, this is what I did, and this is what happened, and this is where I'm going. So, this is what I did. My last scrum, I set forth to, I would say I was loose with my container. Sometimes with my container I'll be strict, meaning I'm gonna focus on reconstructing this song in production and then creating my own spin on it, and that's gonna be my scrum. Or I'm gonna start my scrum with every day I'm gonna be doing vocals, and I'm gonna see what that's like. So I actually did a combination of both of those things. When I went into the cycle, my only parameter was that I would be singing, having a vocal session every day. That was super successful. It's awesome to feel my voice as a muscle that's coming into shape and coming into its best shape yet. I don't know if it's quite there yet. It's still in the gray area, but I'm definitely on the up and getting to the best I've ever been as a vocalist. That's awesome. The first part of my week was really centered in an acoustic environment, just practicing songs, opening up my voice, having a deep and intimate session. And then the second part of I also focused on doing this Ableton project called PLAYGRND by Andri Soren. And PLAYGRND is a Ableton, it's a multi-dimensional intergalactic time-traveling musical space device machine set up for Ableton, the music production software that I use, and it's essentially a combination of a bunch of instruments that this man has designed and integrated together in one template that can be used as like a super flow machine. So I finished the course that I purchased from him. Again, that wasn't necessarily a parameter that I created for Scrum, but it was something that ended up happening in Scrum. And that happened the end of my first week. Then I began to enter the compression chamber, which is essentially the period of time where I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta make it thing, and I haven't started. So enter the first week with no song, but I got into the Dominic Fike album Sunburn, and I really fuck with it. I love it. And I took one of his tracks, I believe it's actually the track called Sunburn, and I just analyzed it. I deconstructed it. I kind of marked out what he was doing in the different periods, and then I did a song. I created my song in a similar arrangement using a free flow that I recorded when I was at my last home in the desert in California. I'm in Atlanta now. Just got here, moving in, new headquarters for Ahssiah. Super excited. Love being here. I'm a few weeks in now, and it's feeling awesome. What was I? So, deconstructed and arranged the Dominic Fike piece, and I used a video that I'd recorded and uploaded to Instagram, and it was an acoustic free flow that I tapped into. And in some of these free flows that I tap into, it's like I'm so surprised. This one was particularly one of my favorites because it just felt so cohesive and potent. Like, I love the lyrics as I kind of write down what I said, and these are the kinds of things that really move me and just kind of surprise me and make me feel like, okay, I definitely actually have something here. And this was the first time that I'd ever taken an acoustic type free flow and translated it into the production space, which was also a very cool process for me. Typically when I write a song and record a song, I'm writing the song as I'm recording it. So this is the first time that I created a thing that lives as its own entity, and then was like, okay, I'm going to translate this into the production space. Awesome process. And then I used the Dominic Fike arrangement, a lot of his ideas, to structure the song, and I found in implementing it, the song changed quite a bit. Meaning, well, it stayed pretty true to its essence, but I did add, it starts pretty much the same lyrically, and it ends quite different. Goes through some changing, but I used pretty much all the lyrics that I used in the video, and then I added some more to fill it out. Overall, process was fucking awesome. I loved the layers of guitar and bass, electric and acoustic guitar. I thought that was awesome. I learned a lot about fills, like using fills as a transition, both with silence, like cutting the audio, and adding different kinds of audio that, perhaps I was just using with a riser to transition. Risers still have their places. That was a big upgrade. Second, and a core aspect, is I feel like in analyzing Dominic Fike's track, I was able to gain more depth in my understanding of what makes a track intelligent. Or rather, how a simple track can be arranged in a very intelligent way. How a simple track can be arranged intelligently and make it feel like this full-fledged, powerful production. I don't feel like I necessarily went into a simple minimalistic route. I feel like it's kind of crowded, the piece that I created, which is called EmPrism. And that being said, I like it. I think it's mixed pretty horribly. I had a challenging time mixing it. Part of that has to do with street noise that I'm dealing with right now that I haven't needed to deal with in my other productions. So I'm learning how to navigate around that. My microphone picks up a lot, so that adds extra noise to the mix that isn't ideal, but we're going to work with and figure out how to work around. And then I also think I used a lot of elements. Though I learned a lot about simplicity, I didn't necessarily implement it, but I'm continually learning how to go into a more simplistic route. That because I would say creatively I come from complexity and abstraction. I come from like being way out there, and my process in refining my skills and developing myself as an artist really feels like I'm taking this thing that feels like the ocean, and I'm consolidating it into a finer funnel, so that I can speak from like a pinhole of light, letting the light shine through rather than this wild fire hydrant waterfall. So I'm interested in, I would say I've been more on the far experimental side of the equation, and I'm interested in actually coming into a more relatable place. And I feel like that's happening as a natural process of, studying other musicians' work and learning this language of music, and having the fundamental intention to connect with people on a, with what I speak, with what I do. And I also feel like the key to connection is authenticity, and speaking from that place that resonates within me, meaning. So combining all those things, I learned a lot about some simplicity, the actual simplicity of good production, often, and how to arrange a smaller collection of elements in a way which continues to feel like the track is progressing and evolving. Overall, I really like the piece. I don't like the mixing. There are definitely things that I could tweak and change to make it feel more cohesive. I would say the vocal elements have a little bit of sloppiness to them. But overall, I really like the content. It's kind of hard to make out some of the parts, but what do you know? I made a thing. It's cool. I fuck with it. Ultimately, I really like it. That being said, it's not one of those tracks that I'm probably going to find myself re-listening to. A lot of my tracks I just love to listen to. I don't think that this will be one of those. Time will tell, though. So that's where I've been. Last cycle was really cool. Started acoustic vocal sessions. Finished the Ableton course and produced a track with a great reference piece. And also did the first time that I brought an acoustic piece that I'd done elsewhere and produced it. And I feel like that's a process I'm going to continue to work with. Moving on. So, here I am now. Where am I going? Little sip of coffee. Cappuccino. I have an espresso maker here. Let's just say it's hot. Throughout the scrum, and just slowly as it's been creeping up on my horizon, I have been interested in now connecting with this sense of like, okay, I'm stabilized in the rhythm of production, and now it's time to evolve this container, my cycle, what I do within a cycle to include distribution. How do I go about doing that? What does that look like? From how I read the landscape of the modern world, the answer to that is being very consistent at producing high quality content on social media, primarily short form video content for TikTok, Instagram, Reels, YouTube Shorts. That, to me, as I read the landscape, is the most effective route, and that's been the case for the past, I want to say, few years. And I think the attention, the breadth, the magic, the money all goes to the creators who are able to be very consistent. And from a musical point of view, it's the creators who promote and share their work on social media in a way that feels cool, real, authentic, talented, and exciting. It's an app that people come to be entertained. So it goes to those two who can entertain. Now, I've always felt like Scrum has been a container that I feel the pressure. I used to, and just for a little context, I used to create music. Most of the tracks that I would create were created in a single day. Some of them took many days. Some of them I'd revisit over a longer period of time. But the majority of the pieces that I'd made up until the Scrum, I would just crank out in a day. I feel like my standards for production and music have increased, and I'm in a different place now, and it takes me a longer period of time to create the tracks, but I feel like overall they're better pieces of music. All that being said, now I feel like 2 weeks is often a tight container to make music, which is funny how relative things are. Kind of depends on the container. That being said, I also did this one in a week. but I'm always cranking in the last moment. And I think that's also great it's new in my creative journey that I'm somebody who's always been effective at the last minute, like I would wait for anything that's due in my life. I've typically waited until the last minute, and I've just gotten it all done as quick as I possibly could because I needed to. And I've never before this really activated that for my own creative work, unless it was like a performance where that's a little different. When it comes to the creative production, this is the first time and the only time I've consistently activated my effective nature, the effective nature of procrastination. Not that I've been procrastinating, because another aspect of the Scrum is to work every day. That being said, it's a tight container, so when I think about adding to it, like, okay, now that the job is to not only create higher quality music than I've been creating, but also make video content for, basically we're shooting for a daily basis. That's high quality. It's just like, how the fuck does that happen? I don't know. I know other people are doing it, and I know that I can do it. I'm just like stepping into this world of like, I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing. And what a great place it is to be here, because it's like, okay, we're going to figure this out. We're walking in the street. So there are, as I've kind of analyzed the scene a little bit and just deconstructed other artists who I feel are really doing it right, I find a few different buckets of content type forms that feel effective for me, or that catch my eye, capture my attention, and provoke my intrigue. One is live content, live performance. That's a big one. And then 2 is music video styled content. 3 would be miscellaneous, like me perhaps sharing stories and narratives and making visualizers or whatnot. But I'm interested when it comes to doing the Scrum. I want to give myself a tangible and actionable goal. Like, I'm going to do this on this cycle. I'm going to fill this space with, like, I want this type of content. I want to try this experiment. It's really, Scrum is an awesome container to create experiments and solve mysteries. So, the first primary video content that I am interested in engaging this cycle is live performance. Why? Well, I'm happy you asked. It's live performance because I want to... I have found extraordinary value in my vocal sessions. Like, basically, earlier on in the Scrum, I would produce the track, create the space for the vocals to come in, and then I would jump on the mic and fill. And often it would mean like I'm not really singing the first week, unless I feel inspired to like play acoustic at some point. I can do that, but I'm not really singing this first week, and then maybe the second week at some point I'm singing because I've created the production space. And I decided I wanted to explore and experiment with singing on a regular basis, having a vocal session, and I found huge upgrade because it was like I was coming into the production space with vocals that were hot, that were fit, tuned up, and just in a 2-week cycle I noticed a huge jump. Thank you, Chris Liepe, Liepe. His singing vocal warm-up lessons and just his whole channel has been super helpful to me. Shout out. So I started singing on a daily basis, and that has just been such a huge upgrade. So now I'm interested in even making an upgrade on that. Like, what does it mean to sing on a daily basis? What does it mean to have a singing session or a vocal session or an instrumental session? And I find that videos are composed of scenes, like musical scenes. Each song is composed of scenes. You know, it's all of these segments, a verse, a chorus, hook, compiled together, and it's a journey that we go on. I've always felt like I've had some kind of retardation when it comes to music, because I've been playing guitar for most of my life, and I don't really know how to play any actual songs. I can learn things pretty quick, and I can enter some fucking awesome flow states. But when I perform, it's always pretty much improvisational, and that also means that sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's just kind of meh. And I'm interested in stabilizing that. I'm interested in shifting the narrative of that, but I hadn't really done that yet, and I feel like the more I tune into it, shooting video content for live performance and integrating that into part of my creative practice just means that I'm nailing these different musical scenes as a live performer, and it's sharpening me. I also find that when I'm recording myself, similarly to if I am performing, I'm giving my best work. You know, I'm not just exploring and experimenting. I'm actually trying to create something and make it the best I possibly can in this take. My presence is fully there. And I feel continuing to enter that space will make me a far more intelligent creative. And I like the idea of, and the experience of, I'm really trying to dial in this scene to be an embodied performer who's on beat and in rhythm and in tune. So I feel like entering a consistent experience of recording video content and seeking to produce the best thing that I can live will simply just help me as a producer as well, because I can, I will be more talented, more skillful. I will have, like in Ren is one musical artist who I really fucking love. And he's somebody, when I look at his content, I'm like, that's what I want to do, just kind of my spin on it. Like, he's doing something that I'm like, I can feel that inside of me. That's what it looks like. That's one iteration of what it looks like developed. And a big part of his process is like live performance. And he's a crazy performer. It's wild. He's awesome. And he does these sick one-shot music videos where he's very theatric, and he arrives to this space just like in such a casual, natural, theatric, embodied, just full expression, effortless, yet entirely skillful. And I can feel where his skill comes from, and it's just like he's able to do that because he's an embodied musician. And so I want to train the muscle of me being an embodied musician so that I can also walk into any room and put good shit on the table. That just comes from being in this process a lot. And a lot meaning more than just when it's time to record, but to have that as both things happening at the same time, production happening here and the vocal sessions happening here, but not just a session where I'm just kind of like da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but I'm actually going for recording a video or videos every day, that's strong. And what I love about that is it answers the call to create and distribute content on social media to help promote the music and share the music in a way which actually supports and catalyzes the music itself. So primarily, I would say I'm focusing this week on making a song and doing this side of the content creation on a daily basis and just seeing what I can conjure. And I'm not posting them at the moment. I'm just interested in selecting the videos or creating a batch, a collection of these videos where I can feel the resonation. I can feel, oh, that has the presence of Ahssiah inside of it. This is just gonna be a longer video. And that's great. I feel with these videos, I'm just gonna talk as I do and share. Given that this is the time that I am approaching making media, distributing media, sharing it with the world, sharing it with culture, I feel like it's important to analyze and reflect upon the last time that I did this. The last time that I did this was probably about a year ago, and I just recorded an EP and was ready to distribute it. And I recognized a similar pattern that I did now. It's the key to distributing it intelligently and doing service to the work is creating micro content videos that show the work. So I did such. I did two music videos that I shot myself, just phone down, shooting scenes, theatric scenes. Those went well, I would say. What I didn't do that I should have done, which would be intelligent, I did do it, but I didn't do it a lot, which was the way to really shoot micro content is you have the day where you're like, okay, I'm gonna just press play, I'm gonna hit the song a bunch of times, or I'm just gonna hit this scene of the song, the chorus, the verse. I'm gonna just explore it from a bunch of different angles, and then you do that. Maybe bring a few different outfits. Then you can get a bunch of content for a bunch of days in one day, edited it. Now you've got a content calendar. I used to work in social media, like marketing, and foundation of my job was building content calendars for these different brands that I work with. Okay, so that's one. One thing that I did good, right? What I could have done better was I really didn't go for the micro scenes. I just basically went for the big edit. I posted 2 micro scenes, but I shot it like a music video and I released it like a music video. And what I would do differently now is probably something similar. It's just like take all the scenes, but mostly take all of the scenes, release each scene individually, and then do chops or edits where I'm combining a few different scenes, like a music video. So basically that means like all of the same content that I created would just go a lot further. Okay. So that's what I would do differently, what I will do differently. Second, I made the commitment to posting every day, and I think I tried to do it for like 2 months, but what ended up happening was I was posting shitty content, and I was posting shit that just wasn't inspired because I made the agreement with myself to do it, and I was like white knuckling through it. And I don't want to do that. Like that it didn't feel like the frequency that I wanted to put out as a creator. Like it didn't feel like it shared the work. It just felt like I was doing it because I had to do it, and like anyone could tell. So I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm interested in putting out content that resonates the frequency of Ahssiah. Ahssiah is a frequency. Ahssiah is the God key to the kingdom of dream and imagination. And if it doesn't resonate or emanate some essence of it / him / we, like it's not something I care to put out into the world. It's not nourishing to the world or the work. After putting out so that's one thing I don't want to do. I want to do better. I did have the idea back then that if I were to just free flow every day, it would just catalyze the work. But again, a lot of my free flow doesn't conjure good results especially if I'm experimenting. And so like feeling like I needed to put out something on that day, like some days, honestly, it did push and create a good result. A lot of days it didn't. And I feel like it's just better to, if it's shit and it doesn't inspire me, to not put it out. If it's a part of the palace, then I'll put it out. If it's a brick that's cracked and really just doesn't have a place yet, it's a half-baked idea. It's cool to share some half-baked ideas, but if it's not going to help support the structure, best not put it in. Best continue developing. So I'm going to remove the necessity to make to push content every day, but that's what I'm going to go for. That's what I'm interested in getting to, but I want to get there from a place that's like that feels solid to me in the same way that my creative work feels solid. Like I said, I did have the concept that I should film these free flow sessions, but I'm more interested now in filming the sessions and not necessitating that I post the session. Okay. And I feel like it'll be, I feel like I have the song that I want to release already ready to go. It's called Vimana, and it's not technically mastered, but it sounds good enough to me that I don't think it matters on this one. I feel the next Scrum cycle I will focus upon creating content for Vimana and schedule the release for the full moon thereafter, on like the 29th of September. That's my sense, my grokkative flow. So this week I'm making a song and I'm filming my daily sessions. These sessions I call Ahssiah. A big part of my work is this pretty elaborate mythology, and it feels like all of the lyrics emerge from the mythology, and there's this substream that I feel like the music expresses that is all of these paralleling stories, like dreams that continue dreaming when I'm awake. Wow, I had a cool dream last night. There was a demon in it, and it was epic. Its voice sounded like thunder that felt like an earthquake. Anywho, I don't quite know how I'm going to express Ahssiah's mythology, or if I will, or if it's important. But the vocal sessions to me are an archetypal or fundamental figure in the mythology is Ahssiah, and Ahssiah is the keeper of the kingdom. He is like the pharaoh of this world, this city, this kingdom, this ancient future society, and he is there to nourish this kingdom. And he comes into this society and they don't know who he is. They don't know, like nobody knows about him. He comes into the world quietly, and he is to provide this service, and the service is nourishing the world with this transmission, the sound, this ringing of the bell of light, emanating sunshine, emanating warmth, emanating nourishment. And Ahssiah's journey is very much about essentially being the silent keeper of this kingdom, radiating the sun, and how he, as he arrives, creates something that blooms into this beacon which nourishes this world, and a lot of other people are a part of, and it is the mirror's reflection to Ahssiah, who in the first world, at the start of the last EP, makes a magical tower and takes all the power for his own, and basically gets power hungry. The thing gets out of control, the whole thing collapses and everybody dies. So Ahssiah is the reflection to that and the foundation of like building the tower from the right place, which is here to nourish. I really look forward to how I will go about expressing these stories that my music feels just like the way that I'm telling them, rather than writing a novel. I'm writing these songs, and these songs are the chapters, or at least the beginning of the chapters. And that's also why, like, my fundamental goal with Ahssiah is, yes, it's to be a professional musician, but it's really to be to share this multimedia production with life, culture, existence. So that's a summation of where I've been, what last cycle was like, and what I'm doing with this cycle. In this video, in the comments, I will share a link to the song that I created, and it's going to link to Audius, which is kind of like a Web3 version of SoundCloud. You don't need an account to listen to the music, so that's cool. And I can upload as much music as I want. SoundCloud, you gotta pay if you want to do that, and I'm just like, who cares about SoundCloud anymore? Probably some people. So on this link, I will also direct you to, you can listen to all the other scrums that I've done, which is all the singles. Cool. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope hearing a little bit about my process helps, and I look forward to sharing the continuation of the scrums as I do them with you. So may the force be with you. Freedom as you fall.